Hello, horse lovers. My sister Rue thought it would be a good idea to talk more about some of my models and to use them when I talk about different horses, and I really like that idea. I'm always happy to talk about my Breyer models. And today I'm going to be talking about the Exmoor pony. So I would like to show off my model of an Exmoor pony mare. I was actually very lucky to get this model for the price that I did because usually they're a lot more expensive than the one that I found on Facebook. I happen to call this one treacle because treacle is a kind of syrup found in England. It's a lot like a cross between pancake syrup and honey if you ever get to taste it. And Exmoor ponies are the oldest native pony breed to England, to Britain in general, I should say. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting about this particular model, I'll hold her up again. She's made in the Misty of Chincoteague mold, which I find kind of appropriate because Chincoteague ponies, as well as Exmoor ponies, they're feral, meaning, well, Chincoteague ponies are feral, having tame ancestors that went wild, and Exmoor ponies are just, they come from straight up wild ponies, but both have wild herds running today where foals are captured and domesticated. There's actually 19 wild herds of Exmoor pony running in England, which is pretty much a miracle because they are an extremely dangerous breed that's making a comeback. Now, these ponies have a lot of history. When good old Henry VIII was King of England, he thought he'd improve the horse breeds. His idea of improving was to make a law that any horse that was considered too short, under 14 hands, would be destroyed. Now, your average height for now pony by definition is under 14 hands. Your basic Exmoor pony, a stallion, would be about 12.3 hands, which is still fairly large. My own Hackney pony Bucky is 12.3 hands, so I know exactly how big that is, which is bigger than I have expected to look at videos of Exmoor ponies. But yeah, still they aren't that small. But Henry VIII thought, yeah, they're too short. Let's kill all the wild ponies. Luckily, being wild, a lot of them survived. Otherwise, we wouldn't have not only the Exmoors, but your Welsh ponies, your Fell ponies, your Shetlands, your Dales ponies. There's a lot of wild pony breeds in England that were in big trouble. Thankfully, when his daughter Elizabeth I came to the throne, she was a lot better ruler than her dad and reversed that law. And thankfully, a lot of your wild ponies continued to survive in the wild at that time. Well, the Exmoor ponies were dealt a further huge blow in World War II. Exmoor was used as a military training base. And over the course of the war, a lot of Exmoor ponies were killed. Accidentally, sometimes, during deliberate bombings of the area, but there were only about 50 wild Exmoor ponies left at that time. Big trouble for the breed. Luckily, major steps have been taken to change that. There are privately owned herds. One of them is the Anchor herd, which is privately owned. Um, Now that herd has been very instrumental in getting the numbers back up. There's now over 100 ponies just in that one herd. And again, these ponies run wild, well, semi-wild. They're not going to freak out at the sight of a human because they see humans fairly frequently. But their foals are often sold for private ownership, and they make great little carting ponies for driving. Um, they can make a great riding pony. Back in the old days, of course, they were used for farm work. They're a very hardy pony. They have a lot of fur to them, great for surviving a cold winter. Very strong, very much they can do anything as far as work goes, kind of little pony. They're probably not going to be seen as all that popular anytime soon because they're not going to have, they're not going to probably win a dressage competition or a jumping competition. but they also make great endurance riding ponies. And there are a lot of these ponies that are used for land management on royal grasslands. They get the best job in the world as far as the pony's concerned. These wild herds exist solely to be basically living lawnmowers and eat down the fields so that these lands stay grasslands instead of growing into forests. So those ponies have a great life. As I said, they're an extremely rare breed. You don't see them in use that much, but I'm hoping that changes as time goes on and word gets out more about them. This is the only Brayer Exmoor mold that Exmoor pony that I'm aware of. I think very well painted little model. They all have this same kind of coloring to them. Any Exmoor pony you see is going to look like this. They're all supposed to look like I've heard it said like they have a light shining underneath them, and you can see the lighter markings on the belly and the face. This one has a little bit more dark around the muzzle. Now, ideally, interestingly enough, an Exmoor pony is supposed to be what they call mealy mold. In other words, this part of their mouth is supposed to be lighter colored, where it looks like they just stuck their mouth in a bucket of oatmeal and got a bunch of oats stuck to it, which is I think is kind of cute. So, um, I really find it amazing that these little ponies have endured all that they have. They've endured the order of a king to slaughter them. They've endured wars. They've endured hard work on farms, and they are great little survivors. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of them as kids ponies in the future, as driving ponies. Sadly, I've kind of found out through getting into driving myself, my own hackney pony Bucky. There's no reason not to ride him, but he's much better as a driving pony. That's what he loves to do best. So I'd really like to see driving make more of a comeback, but through my experience with him, I know driving isn't as big a thing as it used to be. But there are still major driving competitions, even in my home state, which, it's not like Kentucky or that where there's a lot of horse stuff, but even in Wisconsin, there's several big driving competitions. So I can definitely see Exmoor ponies making a comeback in the future. I hope you've enjoyed me talking about them, and until next time, keep horses in your life.